They fight for the lives of the others. They need the rare blood to save them. Within 12 hours.
Welcome to HKB Podcast. I'm Shaz, and this is Leon.
Hi there, everyone.
And this is our final episode of 2024, our 21st episode. But to tie in with it to being our last episode of 2024, we have selected two films to talk about that both have the word last in the title. Leon, would you like to fill everybody in on what these two films are?
Well, I'm quite excited, Shaz, to cover these two films. One's an old favourite and one's a new favourite. First up, we have The Last Blood from 1991, directed by Wong Jing and starring Alan Tam and Andy Lau. And then we're going to move on to the recent box office smash, The Last Dance, which we covered on our YouTube as well. And we so enjoyed that, but we didn't get enough chance in our short video to go in depth into this absolutely wonderful and remarkable film. So today's going to remedy that, and we're going to have a bit of a chance for a deeper dive on that. And we're also having a deep dive into the classic that was dubbed in the UK as Hard Boiled 2. So, shall I take it away from there? Is that okay?
Yeah, you carry on.
Right, fantastic. So, The Last Blood from 1991. Get this, Shaz. It has many titles, as I already mentioned. Hard Boiled 2. It was also known as 12 Hours to Die, 12 Hours of Terror, and in the Philippines, it was known as Police Protectors.
Oh, wow.
Do you have a favourite title from that lot?
Maybe Hard Boiled 2.
Hard Boiled 2.
Because The Last Blood, I just keep thinking of the Stallone film.
Rambo, The Last Blood.
Rambo.
Yeah.
I just keep thinking of that.
Okay, I get
it sort
that.
of separates it out for me then.
I've always preferred The Last Blood, but checking these other titles out, there's something about 12 Hours to Die that kind of... But they've all got the merit.
Yeah.
For me, The Last Blood. For you, Hard Boiled 2. And, you know, obviously the moniker of Hard Boiled 2 came about because of Ricky Baker and Eastern Heroes. I think he wanted to make a success out of the label, so he found a really successful release in John Woo's Hard Boiled.
But, so I don't understand. So this film was made first, but I guess it was released
in
the UK
bit later.
After Hard Boiled, even though that was made afterwards.
Well, yeah, but Ricky was looking for something to sell that would sell.
So because Hard Boiled had done well, even though this film was made before, it was given that title in the UK.
Yeah, it's a marketing ploy. You know, they used to look for Hong Kong films to release. You would never get them as they came out. It would be, let's have a look, see what we can release, what we can get the rights for.
I see.
So kudos to Ricky on that one, because it obviously gave him some financial backing to release more and more titles on that label. And that label I loved growing up. The theatrical run for this was from March the 14th, 1991 to the 29th of March, 1991.
Oh, not long.
No, not that long at all. And the box office takings were Hong Kong dollars 13,984,574, which I don't think is too shabby.
No.
But if we take a look at what was around in that era, on that year, at the box office takings, so we're going to do a little thing that Podcast on Fire do here. Sometimes they give you a little idea of the landscape at the time. And I'm going to read out what we have. In 10th place, we have Dances with Dragons, which took 25 million.
And this was all in 1991?
All 1991.
Hong Kong box office, yeah. Okay.
And that was also a Andy Lau film. It's an Andy Lau film that I haven't seen yet.
Really?
Yeah, it is. I know. Well, he's made so many. That one is available, I believe, but we've not got it. We've not seen it. Even with all those discs behind us, we don't have that one. Then we got Her Fatal Ways 2, which also had 25 million.
Right.
Which we've covered. We covered the whole trilogy of that with Dodo Cheng, Carol Dodo Cheng. Absolutely fantastic films. Surprisingly, at number 8, we have Once Upon a Time in China. Now, I would have thought that'd be right at number 1.
Yeah.
But it's not. So there we go.
Crazy.
I guess Jet Li wasn't as established back then.
Maybe.
In number 7 place, we have Lee Rock, which is Andy Lau playing the famous detective Lee Rock, which,
Okay.
you know, it wasn't all that long ago that he resumed the role in recent years and played it opposite Donnie Yen playing crippled Ho in that film. The title escapes me at the minute,
Right.
but that doesn't matter. You know, if anybody's seen that film, they will know the one I'm talking about, and it was a really good film. In the 6th place, we have God of Gamblers 3, Back to Shanghai, which was a Stephen Chow film.
Yeah.
Because he was, you know, all over the 90s. He was massive. And hence, 5th place, Tricky Brains, also Stephen Chow film.
Have we seen that?
We've got it, but we haven't watched it.
Okay. I remember the title.
Yeah. I think Andy Lau's in that as well.
Okay. Oh wow, he was busy that year.
Oh, he'd done loads. I think in the commentary it said that he did 13
films in 1 year.
13 films in 1
Gosh.
year. That's insane, isn't it? And then we got in 4th place, Once a Thief, the John Woo film, you know, with Chow Yun-fat, Leslie Chung, Sherry Chung. Oh, I love that film.
Yeah.
Yeah, very good. 2nd place, Armour of God 2, Operation Condor. And that was, just to give you an idea of how the money's ramping up here, that was 39 million.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Did you miss out number 3 then?
Yes, I
To
did.
be number 1,
You're right.
which had
Correct.
39 million Hong Kong dollars, which is very close to the second one you just mentioned,
is,
Armour of God
yes.
2.
To be number 1. How could I forget that?
Who's in that one?
Well, I'll tell you this. Amy Yip's in it, so I definitely shouldn't have missed it, should I?
No.
Insane. And number 1 is a
You're
Stephen...
feeling all right.
Yeah, I know. Number 1 is Fight Back to School. Again, Stephen Chow.
Haven't we seen that recently? There's a box set.
There's a
that
box
we
set
picked up.
put out by 88 Films. We enjoyed that. We covered 1 and 2 on the YouTube, and then kind of ran out of enthusiasm because they weren't really doing much for us, so we didn't cover 3. Even though 3, I think we kind of preferred, but there we go. This was, you know, some fun films there, some good films, and I think with all that, you know, in the pipeline, Last Blood did okay. I kind of think it should have done better.
Yeah, well, yeah, but like you say, those other films all sound, I mean, I know I've not seen them all, but they all sound pretty good. And so Stephen Chow was also very busy in 91.
He was. They were hard working, weren't they?
Yeah.
They were hard working guys. So in the cast for this one, The Last Blood, actually leading this one in an action role is Alan Tam, who plays Liu Tai in the film. I think he's so damn cool in this one.
I thought he was really cool.
I thought he was
well.
really. I love his look in this one. You know.
Yeah.
And then we got Andy Lau as Big B, the triad boss, which is a role that any Andy Lau fan they'll recognise him in that role, but this time it's a bit more goofy in it.
Yeah, like we said when we were watching it, I feel like he was a small-time gangster.
Yes, very much.
I don't feel he was like a big, you know...
No.
I know he's Big B, but probably not.
Little Big B.
Little Big B.
And then we got Beardy, Leon Kar-yan, and he plays Stone in this, but you said he's not Beardy in this, you gave him a new name.
What was it? Tashio.
Yeah, Tashio, because he's got a moustache. Brilliant.
Or Tashi.
Tashi, yeah. Not Beardy, Tashi. There we go. We got Tashi in this. And we got Jackson Lowe, who plays Sapporo, the leader of the Red Army. And he's got quite a look on him, hasn't he? Quite physique.
Scary.
Quite physique. Then we got Lau Kei, the female assassin, because I couldn't find a name for her character.
No, I don't remember her having a name. She just suddenly popped up. And
It wasn't until watching it this time with the commentary on, so thank you, Frank Jang, for shedding light on something that's managed to elude me through the decades, but it's the same actress that I really crush out on from The Seventh Curse. The one that jumps up in front of Chin Soo Ho in the very thin white sort of gossamer gown from the river and kind of reveals everything and blew my little mind when I was younger, and I think I had an expression that 10 times the shock of Chin Soo Ho's face was in that. You know, my jaw was literally on the floor and I had to roll my tongue up. But yeah, no, she's an absolutely stunning actress. She has been in a few other films, but not that many. And we got Ho Chin, who plays Kamakura. And they mentioned, Frank mentioned in the commentary about him kind of channeling the Japanese actor from Black Rain.
Yes, he did, didn't he?
Which I've only seen Black Rain the once when it came out on video rental, which is odd because I'm a big Ridley Scott fan. And the main thing I remember about Black Rain was him talking about Jackie Chan possibly playing the lead villain in it, which he didn't because Jackie plays the hero and Jackie's fans expect him to play the hero. We have Mei Lo in this, who plays Ling, and she plays Andy Lau's girlfriend in this one. She's one of the two that needs the last blood.
Yes.
Along with the Daka Lama, who is played by Law Shu Ki. Not Shu Ki that I get excited about, a different Shu Ki. I don't think I'll be getting as excited about Law Shu Ki as I do about Shu Ki. But he's good. He's a familiar face. He turns up everywhere. I might not necessarily recognise him, but I recognise the films that he's been in.
Right.
You know, when Frank was saying, oh, he's been in this, he's been in that. I'm like, oh, I've seen that. I've seen that. I don't remember him. But...
Well, you can't remember everybody, can you?
It's just my brain. I can't stash any information. But I'm going to test my brain out now. I'm going to see if I can talk through the plot of this film. I'm not going to read out synopsis. I'm going to go for it. Is that okay, Shaz?
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah,
You're a brave man.
You can butt in if you like. Right, so the Japanese Red Army have a hit out for the Daka Lama. Not the Dalai Lama, the Daka Lama. And they intend to assassinate him on his visit to Singapore. So that's their intention, but when they attack him at the airport, and I believe this is all shot on location, it's actually Singapore airport, so that adds a little authenticity to proceedings.
Yeah.
They end up shooting Big B's girlfriend. And the Daka Lama also gets shot, but neither of them are killed. They're both rushed to the hospital and basically told that unless they find an exact blood type,
which is blood type P.
Blood type P? What's blood type P? I don't know. I don't know if that's real. You know,
pretend.
Yeah, blood type pretend. Then they're going to die within 12 hours.
12 hours. I did like that they were able to say it'll be this many hours.
They're the good doctors. They're, really good doctors over there. Clearly. Anyway, so the aim is then to find this blood type, and they do a little bit of research. They find that there's 3 people on the island. So the Red Army have a new objective. They don't want the Daka Lama to survive, so they're going to kill off everybody with blood type P. And Andy wants it for his girlfriend, and obviously the doctors and everybody else wants it for the Daka Lama first, but Andy's not happy with that.
No. So
he sets off. And we have 2 buddy cops, which is Alan Tam and Tashi. And they kind of keep getting in each other's way. And the first 2 people they get killed off, and they're left with Fatty, which is Eric Sang, who doesn't really want to give his blood up at first, does he? So we have kind of them chasing him, the cops, the small-time triad gangster, and the Red Army, and a whole lot of mayhem in between.
Yes.
How was that, Shaz?
That wasn't bad.
Was that okay?
That was quite concise.
Yeah? Right, excellent. So, we have loads of notes on this film, and I like one of... Well, no, I've warbled on enough now. Let's hear your thoughts. What did you think? Initial impressions of The Last Blood?
I just really enjoyed it. I found it a really interesting story, and I liked all the characters, and I just thought it was really well put together. There were some really good action scenes. I love the little comedy bits in there. Like we were saying about you need balance for films, and I felt it was just right. They also had, we didn't mention him on our list of people, but who was that character, the actor? Is it Nat?
Natalis. Yeah, Nat Chan.
Nat Chan. So he popped up as well, and his bits were quite funny, weren't they?
Yeah, how could we not mention Nat Chan? Because he always makes us laugh, doesn't he? I remember you particularly had hysterics over his role in The Magic Crystal when his hands and feet got switched.
Oh, that was funny.
But yeah, he plays Ferrari in this, doesn't he?
Yeah. And that's just a, funny little character.
Yeah.
Which does give a little bit more balance, a bit of humour.
And he does set up the joke for the end of the movie as well by telling the Dalai Lama.
Yeah. I thought that was nicely done because they have this little scene where he's talking to the Dalai Lama in the hospital and they exchange a few little nuggets, don't they? And then, that's saved all the way to the end. Yeah.
It is a brilliant little joke. I guess we could kind of mention it. It's basically a curse, isn't it? He says that what he's saying is a greeting in this particular dialect from this particular area. And when the guy at the end greets the Dalai Lama, says, "Oh, I'm from so-and-so," he whips up this line, and then Nat Chan ends up doing the freeze frame ending, spitting out his drink, because he's like, oh shit. He's kind of swore at this guy, the Dalai Lama, which is quite funny. But there's a lot of good bits of humour with Nat Chan in this. I particularly, for me, being as juvenile as I am, I like it when he's sat there by the bedside doing what a doctor would and flipping through the pages of a Playboy magazine. And a senior doctor comes in with a bunch of nurses and he swiftly sweeps it under the Dalai Lama's hand. Of course, because, nothing more after you've been shot is going to perk you up a little bit than a copy of Playboy. I can see that. I can completely see it. Can you see that?
In a weird way, I guess.
Yeah. But it is kind of weird how he's been shot, and out the two of them, he seems able to function and have great conversations, like, perfectly normal, like, well, I'll be dead in 12 hours, but, I'm all right for now. I love that.
Yeah.
I absolutely love that.
Didn't make sense, really, did it? But I guess you just have to ignore the realistic, how it would really be if you were losing a lot of blood from your wound and...
Yeah. But
waiting for a blood transfusion or what have you,
When I say I love that, I seriously mean I love it. That's what I love. I love with Hong Kong films.
But it's realistic, but then it's escapism at the same time. I mean, it's not meant to be factually accurate, I guess. It's just a sense of a story, isn't it?
Yeah. And this has always held me in a little bit of wonder with, introducing you to Hong Kong films when I did. Is it took me a long, long time to grasp that balance, because when I was younger, I just wanted the action, I wanted the kung fu, or the hard drama, or the comedy and nonsense humour, as they call it. It used to grate on me. I used to want to get past that. I'd sometimes end up speeding past it. Yeah, but now it's kind of some of my favourite moments of Hong Kong cinema. Yeah. I really get a buzz from that goofy humour. I really need it in the films. Okay, I enjoyed the dramas too. Everybody knows at HKB we enjoyed the dramas. But in a film of this period, it really adds something. You got that particular flavour, that particular blend.
Yeah, I think it's, quite unique, really, for like the Hong Kong films, because you do get a little bit of everything in it, don't you? You do get all the action, you do get a bit of the drama, and then you get this fun, jovial side just to lighten the darkness, which I think just is fantastic, really. Makes it for everybody. There's something in it for everybody, every type of audience.
Yes, absolutely. And that's what we do here at HKB too. We add a bit of humour, like a rumbling tummy whilst we're podcasting.
I'm very sorry.
You're hungry? That's okay, Shaz. I'm sure the listeners won't mind. We like a little bit of humour, so does everybody else, and they all love you anyway. They're so endeared to you. Everybody prefers you to me. We know this.
No, not true.
It's true. I know it. And I got some little notes. You probably got some notes too.
I made a few, but I was just so engaged in the film again and listening to the commentary. I didn't make many.
No. Well, yeah, the commentary was really good, so I had to take a few things out of it in case people haven't got the disc, or they haven't got the commentary, or they haven't, They said about Mei Lo, who is obviously married to Jackie Chung. And apparently
I didn't know that.
She met him on the set of Devoted to You. So I find that quite nice.
Yeah, that's sweet, isn't it?
Yeah, that's really sweet. And what did you think about her playing Andy Lau's girlfriend in this? Did she seem like a convincing girlfriend to Andy Lau?
Yeah, I felt that it was quite an interesting relationship. Not that you saw much of it, but what I would have gathered is that she was very high-spirited.
Yeah.
And she possibly sort of wore the trousers in their relationship.
It did seem a bit like that,
even though he's
didn't
a
it?
gangster, he was sort of quite taken with her and very upset when she got injured, when she got shot. So I felt like they probably had quite an interesting relationship.
Yeah, I think so too. I really like Mei-Lo in this. And
Yeah, I think they were a good match.
yeah, even though I've never really taken on board her name and her as an individual, but through listening to the commentary and then watching this, I think I might look her up separately. You know, when I do,
see what else she's done.
I
in case there's
sometimes
anything.
So I might look her up because I think I want to commit her to memory. I want to know when she's in a film that I'm going to recognise her, because it annoys me when I come to a film and I've seen that actor like a dozen times and I don't realise who it is. Yeah, so
where do I know them from?
Mei-Lo, I definitely need to learn her, commit her to memory. And I've got my glasses on, but I'm struggling to see. Andy and May, they said that Andy and May dubbed themselves, which was quite good. That they were certain about. They weren't sure about some of the others.
No.
They said maybe Eric sang it because it sounded like it. And
but then they said no, it was somebody else. I'm sure they said it was somebody else.
Might have been Frank Jane.
It might have been because, hey, he does some good impersonations of Eric Tang on this commentary.
You know, I was really pleased with that.
You were making some notes and you looked up and you were like, hey?
Yeah.
Was that not Eric Tang?
Yeah. I was like, what's going on? Yeah.
Like, no, it was Frank Jing doing an impersonation.
I know Frank's never going to listen to this because we're a small-time podcast and he's such a busy man.
Well, you never know.
But if somebody does listen to this that knows Frank, please pass on our congratulations on his Eric Tang impersonation, because it was incredible.
It was fun, wasn't it?
It was fun, and I saw a different side to him, you know, and I really liked it, you know.
Yeah.
I really like that. I would listen to more impersonations from Frank.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great. And Andy Lau, he says, do you want me to sing an Andy Lau song? Now, we have a lot of that type of humour, don't we, in this film?
We do.
Self-referential. What did you think of that Andy Lau's
I liked it. I liked
referencing?
that they were brave enough to go there, you know, because you wouldn't normally get that, would
You'd get
you?
it in Hollywood, would you? Not
You know,
really.
Alan Tam as this character taking his glasses off saying, my girlfriend says with my glasses on, I look like Alan Tam.
Yeah. You know what that means, don't you? At bedtime, his girlfriend saying, take your glasses off. I want to get it on with Alan Tam, not with you. I kind of like that, though, you know?
Yeah, I did,
And, surprisingly, Alan, you look a lot like Alan Tam. But, yeah, no, I do like that sort of humour. I like it when they do mention other things as well. I think there's a scene on the beach with Eric Tsang, isn't there, where, you know, when they're trying to find him, and he's selling his wares. He's got a bag full of goods. I think he's got, like, Chow Yun-fat's wristwatch, Sherry Chung's wig, and Leslie Chung's bra, of all things. I'm like, well, you sure that's right, Eric? Because, you know, I might pay you for Sherry Chung's bra, but I'm not going to pay you for Leslie Chung's bra. That doesn't make no sense to me, you know?
But if someone really liked, you know, Leslie Chung, anything that was his,
what would want. What would he put in his bra?
I don't know.
I don't see the point.
Well, no. I don't know.
I don't know. I
think funny.
I think to guys, you're more likely going to sell Sherry Chung's bra than you are Leslie Chung's.
Well, yeah.
And
but let's face it, none of it would have been actually their stuff, would it? Because he was obviously a bit dodgy.
He was a bit of a dodgy con man, money fatty, yeah. Just
selling any old tat, really.
Yeah.
And saying it was the celebrities.
And he tried to offer up, I think he tried to offer up Karina Lau in some way, didn't he? Like a date.
I can't remember that.
A date to some thugs that were trying to collect some money from him. He said,
right.
I think that's what happened. I could be wrong. It doesn't matter if I'm wrong, but he mentioned Karina Lau in some context, like, you know, I'll get you a date with Karina Lau or something like that. And I thought that's brilliant. I thought, oh yeah, well, you know, if I was the gangster or the thug, I might want to believe that. Yeah, brilliant. I'm going to get a date with Karina Lau, like, you know. But I think he was conning them too.
I think so.
Very disappointing. I feel very disappointed for the thug star.
Yeah.
What do you think of the location in this? Because it was all shot in Singapore.
Well, yeah, nice. Yeah, good locations. Yeah, sort them out. There was that bit on the cable car. That was really interesting, wasn't it? I like that they had that fight in the cable car.
Yeah. There's a lot of explosions in this and probably quite a bit of danger.
Yes, it did look a bit dangerous at times because they said on the commentary that the actors were actually running away from an actual explosion, didn't they?
Yeah, and there was
that these days.
There was a sequence where we had Andy Lau on fire.
Oh yes, his leg was on fire, wasn't it?
His leg was on fire, and kudos to him. He acted that scene well when he put it out.
Yeah, sure.
And you can see in the shot there was obviously a bit more fire before that. I think that when his leg on fire, I think they staged that on purpose for the scene. But the bit of fire that he had just before that looked a bit more substantial. So
do you think they were like, oh no, his leg's on fire? Well, let's use that. Let's put out the actual fire and now let's stage it.
Yeah, I do. I don't know whether the intention was there from the beginning, but it could have been an inspiration. Hey, that's a good idea. Let's set Andy Lau on fire. I mean, geez, really? One of the biggest stars?
I probably wouldn't have risked it.
I wouldn't have risked it, not with Andy Lau. I mean, that's crazy. Absolutely love Andy. So, yeah, we have a scene shot at the airport, as we said. This is in Singapore. We also have a scene on the Singapore Underground and a scene at the hospital. So I like that they made use of all these different locations within the film. Yeah. It adds something, doesn't it?
I think so. When it's actually filmed in an actual place rather than in a studio, I think it just makes it a bit more credible.
Yeah.
That those places are still going to be there. Well, probably still be there, but...
What's the standout scene for you in the film, action-wise? I'm just going to jump to that.
Oh, that's really tough. Maybe the hospital bit at the end, because, well, I don't know if all of that was filmed at the hospital, but there was a lot of jumping through windows and things going on.
It is good. What do you think of Andy doing his Bruce Lee bit?
I really like that.
Yeah?
Yeah.
It was quite funny too, wasn't it? He's doing the Bruce Lee sort of walk back and forward and thumbing his nose. It's so recognisable.
He didn't have to say my idol is Bruce Lee. You're just like, this is really good.
Yeah, don't go shouting your idol's Bruce Lee and then get your ass kicked afterwards, though. That's embarrassing.
Yeah. But it sort of put me in mind of when we've seen Sammo Hung do it before.
Enter the Fat Dragon.
And Enter the Fat Dragon and that. I just was like, oh, it just reminded me of that.
I think Andy's taken on Bruce before. I seem to recall it somewhere. But I'm not 100%. But he's quite good at doing it. He got the mannerisms down pat.
Yeah.
And
I liked it.
I've got a note here, in the dub. Dr. Lamb to the emergency room. Really? Dr. Lamb to the emergency room. Are they insane? Who wants Dr. Lamb in the emergency room?
But that's not what it said in the subtitles. That was Dr. Lim.
Dr. Lim.
So you think that was purposeful just for the dub?
I'm not sure. Can you look up while we're here when Dr. Lamb came out with Simon Yam? It must have been before this. Or it was well known. But yeah, I mean, because, Simon Yam played Dr. Lamb. That was released by... I think it was on Earth Films released that one, because they released The Untold Story too, didn't they? So he's a big character in pop culture in Hong Kong. And for them to reference him as a doctor for this film, somebody that's going to come and help save your life, it's actually the year after, is it?
Yeah.
92.
Yeah, but the dub would have been done more recently, so they might have selected that name.
Yeah, of course it came over later, didn't it?
Yeah.
Right, well thought out. That confused me for a minute then, but thank you, Shaz, for shedding a little bit of light on that. That makes absolute perfect sense.
I mean, it might just be that the person said the wrong name.
It could be.
The voiceover, yeah.
Okay, trivia for you, Shaz. How many daughters does Stone have, Beardy's character, in this film?
7?
Correct. And his wife is pregnant with... He doesn't know. They're going to wait and find out.
Hoping for a boy.
Right, so we got... We
didn't actually find out, did we?
We never found that out. Do you think that was... Okay, let's throw up a spoiler alert here, yeah? Spoiler alert?
Spoiler alert.
So if you haven't seen it and you don't want to know what happened, go and watch the film, then come back and listen to what else we've got to say afterwards, please. But yeah, do you think that's a bit of a giveaway that he's got all those kids and he obviously is going to need a lot of money? Do you think they're trying to tell us early on that this is a cop that's more likely to be corrupt because he's got an enormous financial burden on him?
Could be.
7 kids,
Could
another
be.
kid on the way.
Yeah.
And he's not the youngest cop at that point, you know, so he's got to think of his future.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't pick up on it though the first time I watched it. Did you pick up on it?
No, it was still a shock when it came out that he was, you know, double-crossing them.
I know, I felt really sad because I felt the friendship between him and Alan Lam's character was really genuine.
I did.
And then there's the scene where they have to face off. He's just like hit Alan Tam. He's like punched him in the face and knocked his glasses off or broke his glasses off.
Yeah.
And Alan Tam comes out and you see his eyes a little bit like shut down on the one side and, you know, really he's about to kill off the last witnesses at that stage, which is Eric Sang and the young son of his former girlfriend or the woman that he you know, he loved, that is actually
lady
married.
that was trying to help him.
Yeah, and that scene where they have that standoff and he's like, you can't see me without your glasses, and it turns out that he's got contacts in. He's just put emergency contacts in. Clever man, Tam. They said they didn't think he'd have had enough time in the commentary, and I'm thinking, well, you could do. I think if it's an emergency...
Yeah, I think it takes less time to put them in than
More
it does
time
to take them out.
Yeah, so...
it just would have been the whole hygiene thing if you're really thinking about it. Like, you'd have to wash your hands.
Yeah, because he had a bit of blood on him.
Yeah, you got to do it with clean hands.
But whatever, I don't care. I like that scene.
He disappeared for a couple of minutes, so I reckon if he'd have found, you know, if he could found space to do it, I think he could have easily put his contact lenses in.
It's like a spaghetti western moment, that, isn't it?
Yeah.
And they both fire, and then the camera pans back, and then you see...
You don't know who's been hit.
You don't know who's been hit. You see Alan Tam rock, and then he kind of drops to his knees. And
that's to make us think he'd been shot.
Yeah, he puts his gun on the floor, and he's like looking down, and the sweat dripping off him and blood. And that one shot there of Alan Tam's face in side profile, I absolutely adore that shot.
Yeah.
I think I can't think of a... Yeah, it is. I can't think of another...
Good acting. Those that say he can't act, you know, straight roles. Well, come on, look at that face.
Yeah, he's got it all there.
Yeah,
That is one of the strongest moments of this movie to me. You know, and I'm going to get a picture of that. And I might even use it for a thumbnail or... I don't know, or put it on a calendar, do a HKB calendar. I just think he's never looked cooler than in that one moment.
He looked really cool.
He looked really cool.
He made glasses cool,
yeah,
in my opinion.
And then we pan over to Beardy and he's been shot bullseye, centre of the head.
Poor Beardy.
I know, thinking about his wife and his 7
that would be the
daughters.
guilt that Alan Tam's character was feeling, because yes, he saved the day, he saved the guy with the type P blood, but he's killed his friend, knowing that he's got all those children and a baby on the way. That must have been awful.
Horrendous. Yeah, he's going to have to carry that with him, innit? You know, despite the comedic beats in this, you've got those dramatic beats too, which I think is really, really good. There's one thing that stood out to me with Alan Tam's character in this as well, besides the not swearing, you know, which he doesn't want to swear until, you know, spoilers already gone up at the end. Obviously he does swear when he's in trouble and takes out the remaining villain.
Yeah.
But it's how tidy he is, how clean, and it's that, didn't mention it in the commentary, but it was always stood out to me in my mind is that Volkswagen convertible, the red one that he drives. I love that car. I would like that car, Shaz.
Good car.
Christmas?
Probably won't find many of them around.
No, it's so
Not
cool
now.
though, isn't it?
It's a very cool car.
I wonder if I'd look as cool as Alan Tam driving that car.
I think anyone would look cool driving that car.
Yeah, that's a cool car. That would raise my street cred amazingly. So, if any listeners would like to buy me a red Volkswagen Beetle convertible, send it into... I'm just kidding. Well, that'd be embarrassing, of course, to end up at the front door. But yeah, the... Any more notes from you, Shaz? Because I'm going to have a little look at mine and try and pick out my last ones in order.
Well, I only made a couple notes.
Let's go with those.
And one was about that there's a scene where Fatty, Eric Tang's character, had managed to escape Big B, Andy Lau's character. This is whilst Andy Lau was still trying to get Eric Tang to the hospital to get his blood. And he disappeared into some big gathering, because in the film where it's the day before, so all these events are taking place the day before Singapore's National Day. So there's big groups gathering in the streets, aren't there? There's this like big something going on in this square or whatever it was. So Eric Tang's running through here hiding, and Andy Lau suddenly jumps up on a unicycle to get a better view. And they were saying, and you could see it was Andy Lau on this unicycle, because I said to you, hey, Andy Lau on a unicycle. And then they said in the commentary that he'd done it for something else, hadn't he? And that he was able to ride one.
Like a TV special, a TV special or something. Yeah.
So I thought that was cool.
I know, don't you just sometimes hate these Hong Kong actors? They're so talented.
So talented.
In everything, you know. I can sing, I can act, I can do kung fu, I can
ride a unicycle.
I can ride a unicycle. Unbelievable.
And then the other note I made was something that about Eric Tang, that Frank Zheng mentioned, that he met him, I think it must have been quite recently.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, Eric got held up at customs at the airport, and Frank was waiting for him for like 4 hours. And that then when they went off to do, I don't know, was it they were at dinner or something?
Yeah.
And it got mentioned that Frank was currently working on that Bruce Lee documentary. And Eric said something like, oh, could I be interviewed for it?
Yeah, which is nice.
Which is nice, because we've seen that, and Eric is on there, isn't he? He does a bit of an interview on it. And Frank just mentioned that he felt that it was Eric's way of apologising for being late. Which was at the airport, which was obviously nothing to do with him. He didn't want to be in customs for 4 hours, but we just thought, oh, that's so nice, isn't it?
Shows a lot of character.
Yeah, really nice.
Yeah, I was quite impressed with that.
Yeah,
he was good in this, actually. I think, you know, he got involved in the action a tiny bit, you know.
Yeah.
And he always brings good comedy, but there's also some serious acting from Eric in this. And you know, the bit where the woman gets shot, that he's obviously upset because she's already settled down and she's got a kid and she's got a disabled husband. And then when he brings circumstances her way that leads to her getting shot by the Japanese Red Army, and he like sort of slides across the floor with a gun and puts it between his legs and shoots him like 3 times in balls. Like, oh my god, I really feel that scene. Like, you know, his anger and he's upset, and again, another really strong scene. Yeah,
portrayed on the face of the actor again, you know.
Yeah, so it's delicious that they can throw that in, you know, from that actor at that stage of the movie.
Yeah.
Because we're not done yet.
No.
Which is really good. But they've thought in this film a lot about little things. And I like that, the details. There's a scene where one of the terrorists has got a hostage in a shopping mall and looking for one of the blood type people.
Yeah.
And he's backing out with a gun at a woman's head, and Alan Tam says, wait. He says, wait till he comes out the doors. And as he goes through the doors, because the temperature suddenly goes from the air condition to the intense heat outside, and his glasses steam up so he can't see anything, and that's when Alan gets him and shoots him.
Yeah.
And I think, wow, that's cool. That is so cool.
It's like this sort of thinking outside the box.
It is.
Which is really cool.
And considering they made these films so fast.
Yeah.
To put that in there, that's inspiration. It's hit the filmmakers, and I absolutely love that it's hit the filmmakers like that. Right, I may have a couple more notes. Ooh. Oh yes, we're talking about blood, you know, because blood's a very important part of this film, The Last Blood. and they need blood. And there's a joke in there about he's got AIDS. Fatty says when he's talking about one of the thugs, oh, he's got AIDS. So that kind of ages the film a little bit, because like in the mid 80s through to the early 90s, AIDS was a big thing on TV, wasn't it? Everybody was frightened of it.
Yeah.
So I found that curious that they chucked that in there, like as a joke, that it was like kind of acceptable back then to joke about it. It was funny in the film. You know, I'm not sure these days they'd throw out similar sort of humour about disease. I don't know. But how did you feel about that? Did it sit okay with you? Did you not even notice it?
I did notice it. I think I noticed it the first time we watched it. I think I just probably thought he's just trying to say, I've got something, don't come near me.
Yeah.
You know, I don't think there would have been anything more implied.
Yeah.
Just to try and save his skin.
Yeah. Well, I guess so, yeah.
People were so afraid of it that there was still this like stigma, you know, that it was something, you know, well, I know it's not obviously a nice thing, but people were just really petrified of it back then, weren't they?
They are.
Didn't understand everything that they do now.
Well, I'm going to talk briefly about my favourite action scene in the film.
Oh yes, because we've covered mine. So yes, what's yours?
Mine's the motorbike chase scene.
Okay.
You know, you got all those... I can't remember exactly how they come to it, even though we just watched it, but there's...
No, they just suddenly appeared.
They suddenly appear out of nowhere, don't they?
Yeah.
You know, and they're trying to get away from the Japanese Red Army. They're in a car, they're getting shot at, and there's literally, well, not hundreds, but there's tens and tens of motorcyclists, and they're all on a similar sort of scramble bike, and they're all wearing white sort of boiler suits and crash helmets. It made me think Shaw Brothers. I thought, oh, white suits, so we're going to get a lot of blood here. There wasn't that much blood in that scene, but there are some surprising moments of gore in this, or blood. Some slashery moments that are thrown in there. Yes. Which again adds another element to the film.
Yeah.
But yeah, that whole scene, there's some really good bike jumps. You know, some into water, some just up ramps and onto the street.
Yeah.
The bikes explode a lot when Alan shoots them. You know, I would not be riding one of those bikes. Bloody dangerous, if you ask me. Exploding bikes, what the hell? Get me something safer. What's wrong with you? I know. But yeah, there's I was really interested to hear that Frank thought Alan was a good actor, like we do.
Yeah.
I was really pleased, because I've always thought that, and I've heard him knocked down before.
Yeah.
And he mentioned a film called The Age of I can't read my own writing. I'll look it up later, but there's a 1996 film directed by Peter Chan that Alan Tam's in that I'm going to have to look up, because he said it's really, really good.
Right.
So we'll be looking for that.
Okay.
I think I'm almost there.
You wrote so many notes.
I did. I really like this one, you know. And, oh yeah, there was another joke. There was somebody else that got mentioned, you know, in the self-referential stuff. There was... I couldn't, because we was like concentrating on so much, but when I looked up, I suddenly saw the subtitles saying about Bridget Lynn running naked through the streets.
Yeah.
And that again was by Nat Chan, and I'm like, nobody told me this was happening. I'd have come over specifically for that. Honestly, I like Bridget Lynn. But yeah,
that all your notes?
That's kind of all my notes. I really think it's a fun 90s Hong Kong actioner.
It is. Have we mentioned that it's directed by Wong Jing?
I think so. And if you didn't know it going in, by the time you come out, you're definitely going to know it's Wong Jing. You know, that type of humour, the fact that Nat Chan's in it. It's got all the Wong Jing sort of tropes with the self-referential humour, the slightly smut. There's some smutty humour in there, wasn't there? A lot of innuendo, like you'd get in a Carry-On film, which you like. So, how would you sum up this one for the folks, and would you recommend it, Shaz?
Oh, wow. I definitely recommend it, because I just think it's a great film. Like I said earlier, it just covers all bases. There's something for everybody. And yeah, it's great. To sum it up, yeah, I think it's just great story, great actors, bit of humour.
It is. It's got all those elements, and if you get the 88 film release, you got this beautiful cover.
Oh, wait, you said there's a poster in there as well.
There's a poster in there, which I might put up at some point.
Yeah.
There's alternative artwork. Like we said, there's a great commentary.
Yeah.
We have the Old Universe DVD of this.
Oh.
And as that one villain that was channeling the guy from Black Rain has that mark on his head that nobody could seem to decide.
Yeah.
We might just for fun put up a picture on our social media of him with that mark, and maybe the person that comes up with the best suggestion as to what that mark on his head and hair is, the most funniest suggestion or the most inspired one, we might send on that Universe DVD to. I think that's enough for The Last Blood, 1991. I really enjoyed the film. I really enjoyed covering it.
Would you recommend?
I definitely recommend, if you're an Andy Lau fan, watch it. If you like Alan Tam, or you need to be convinced about Alan Tam's credibility as a leading man, watch this. You like Hong Kong actioners, Heroic Bloodshed. This is in that genre, definitely. And it's a recommendation for me. I think we should take a break now. Go and watch the last
might
film.
go and have some lunch.
Yeah. Well, we're not going to BS. Actually, when we say we're going to take a break on HKB, we're not just going to stop rolling and then start again. We're going for a break. We're going to have some lunch, stop Shaz's stomach rumbling, and then we're going to watch The Last Dance again because we love it. And then we're going to come back and talk about this wonderful, amazing film. So we'll catch you after the break, guys. Thank you.
講過10萬次㗎啦，女人有月經，祖師爺唔中意嘅。
頭先啲説話聽咗30年。
阿文哥，你搞清楚啊！我唔係你條僆嚟，我做嘢係唔使經你批准嘅。
Right, so we're back after our break. We've had some lunch.
Yum yum.
And we're now going to talk about our second film for this episode, which far away, Leon.
Okay, so as we mentioned at the beginning of the episode, the second last of this film is The Last Dance from 2024. Now, Shaz and I covered this on the YouTube, and we were very, very pleased with the response to it. And we just felt the film was so good. It had so much in it. And it wasn't until we had a little comment where somebody had said, despite your review being bland, I'm still going to go and see it. And we had some people leap to our defence over that, but it kind of just made us smile and laugh a little bit, because we got over 7,000 people watch that. Obviously, a lot of people were happy. We had a lot of thumbs up. But even if just one person is unhappy, then I just feel like I've not done it credit. So I didn't disagree with her. I was kind of happy with the review, but I felt like there was a lot more that could be said, and I think that's probably where that particular person was coming from, because this is a epic film, epic proportions, and perhaps it deserves a little more than the few minutes that we gave it on a video. So we're going to try and put that in justice to rights, and we're going to discuss The Last Dance 2024 in greater detail. Right, so Shaz, this one, as we know, was directed by Anselm Chan, and we were rather impressed with it.
We were.
And not a lot of people know this, but we like looking into the background, and we did discuss a little bit on the YouTube about the ritual, because it's a Taoist ritual, isn't it?
Yeah, breaking Hell's Gate.
So that's the foundation for this film. It's about a funeral home, and it's about a man who's down on his luck, who is played by Dayo Wong, and he plays Dominic. And Dominic's he did work as a wedding planner, and unfortunately, due to the pandemic, his business sunk, and he gained a lot of debt because of that, and a lot of people depended on him because he had a lot of employees. But he gets this chance. His wife Jade, she has an uncle played by Paul Chun, and Paul Chun is Ming, and Ming is retiring, and he hands over his side of this funeral business, which is the business side,
the agent
side, to Dominic, but the other half of the business belongs to the Taoist priest, who is played by Michael Hoy, who plays Man, dubbed Hello Man in the film. And what an incredible two leads. I mean, both of these guys are comedians. Dayo Wong's been a stand-up comic, and everybody knows Michael Hoy for all his comedy films with his brothers and appearances with Jackie Chan, things like Cannonball Run and All You Need Is Love, which we covered not too long ago.
Yeah.
So who knew that these guys had this in their arsenal?
True.
Yeah?
Yeah. Yeah.
So what do you think about these comedians shifting into a serious dramatic role like this, Shaz?
Well, I think it gives them chance to do something maybe they don't do very often. Play more of a straight role. Especially, both of them. I was going to say Michael Hoy because his character was so opposite of light-hearted comedy, but I guess Dominic's character was as well, because it is. But I guess both characters have a lot of depth to them and how they progress through the film as the story unfolds and the things that happen.
Yeah, a lot of people will go and see this, and what they will bring back from it is the relationship that builds between Dominic and Man. That's a huge part of the film. They're not just business partners, but they develop a relationship beyond that. And aside from their relationship, we have Man's family in this.
Yes.
We have his son, who is played by, I think it's Tommy Chu. Yeah. So he plays Ben Kwok. And then we have one of our favourites out of I would say the newer crop of Hong Kong stars, which is Michelle Wai, who plays the daughter. And the daughter, she is called Hewitt. And she is kind of single. She's a paramedic. And but she's like very intelligent. She could have been a doctor, but she didn't choose that path. She chose the path of the paramedic. And but Ben, he's the one that follows his father. He does the same thing, even though his beliefs perhaps are a little bit different.
Yeah.
So for me, going into this film, on my initial thoughts, I feel like this is beyond just saying it's a good Hong Kong movie. That isn't enough.
No.
You know, when you get these lists that people do, and books even, where it's like top 100 movies you must see before you die. Yeah. That's just like become a thing, you know, the 100 movies. It's probably 200 movies, 300 movies, 400 movies, 500 movies. However many movies it is, as each generation evolves, there's more films that go onto that list.
Yeah.
And for me, I'd put this film on that list. This is one of those films I think everybody should see before they die. Yeah. Because it's that special, in my opinion.
Yeah. No, I agree. It is a very special film.
Okay, right. So I'm going to lead into some of the notes, yeah.
Go for it. Because you wrote an awful lot of notes again.
I did write a lot of notes, and we'll, after we've gone through some of our notes, we might have a little discussion about some of the performances from some of the actors, because I think we didn't have a chance before to discuss them all, and that feels like a bit of an injustice, because there's so many great performances in this.
No, there are.
And fair warning, you know, we will be discussing this film and quite a lot of the scenes in it. So if you haven't yet seen it, perhaps watch it before you listen to this, or gauge if we're getting a little bit too much info out, maybe switch off and come back when you have seen it. So that's up to you. We can leave that ball in your court, but we really want to get into nitty gritty today, so fair warning. Right, so there is a bit at the beginning where we can see about Dominic in his present situation, how he's down on his luck and he can't afford that much. And when he's speaking to Jade, his wife, on the phone at the beginning, there's a scene where he's doing his washing in the laundry, and as he is, he's looking through some bills, some debts, and when she calls him up, he says he's stuck in traffic, and of course she's on the phone behind him. So right there, right at the get-go, I think we've got a little scene that tells us a little bit about his character. What did that say to you, that scene?
That said to me that he didn't want to admit that he was washing his clothes in a laundrette. Like, he was embarrassed about it because he could have said, "Oh, I'm just at the laundrette," but he chose to say he was stuck in traffic.
I know. So this character has obviously got a bit of pride there, hasn't he?
Yeah.
And I like that because you see this sort of change and evolve throughout the film.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, he's really thrilled, isn't he, to get this business, and he wants to take off right from the word go and make some money.
I think that's the thing. He sees it as a business, as only a business, just another way to make money.
This is true, and he's got many different ways of making money, hasn't he? Not just by doing the funeral. He has other ideas, like
Funeral memorabilia.
Yeah, there was some little like shrines that lit up.
Yeah.
And he was trying to sell one couple some cars, which led into something rather embarrassing within the film.
Yeah.
But also he's not got a respect at the beginning for what has passed, has he?
No.
Because there's a scene where, you know, when he's first getting to know Man comes into the location of the business, the office, if you like, and he's like, "Where's my bamboo chair?"
Yeah. And Dominic's like, "Oh, it's been chucked out.
It's in the trash." Oopsie daisy, Dominic.
Manky old chair.
Yeah, manky old bamboo
Seen better
chair.
days.
So yeah, he wanted to get rid of it, and he wants to make the business look smart. So he's chucking out these things. He's thinking with a business head on.
Yeah.
But at this stage of the film, he's not thinking with his heart. He's not really connected to people like that. And but he does the right thing. He gets his staff to search for the chair. When he speaks to Man, Man's like, "Have you disinfected it?" And he's like, "Well, we cleaned it." "Oh, how have you cleaned it?" "Well, we washed it down with water first, and then we gave it a rub down with alcohol." Do you think he did? Do you think they rubbed it down with alcohol? Or do you think he was suddenly on the spot and he thought, "Shit, I've got to sell this"?
Yeah, I think maybe the chair wasn't washed.
I think he probably just had a cloth over it and a bit of a wipe down.
If that, yeah.
Maybe just, it's on top of the
just
pile.
fished it out the skip
it's
and
fine.
just popped it back in the office.
Yeah. But anyway, he tries many things, doesn't he, to bond with Man and to apologise about the chair. He brings some food around, which you think, that's a great idea, Dominic. I like your style. You're bringing round a really expensive takeaway because there's a lot of different dishes there. You're bringing it round to Man's home, and I think
his whole family's there. So Man, his son, his daughter, daughter-in-law, and grandson.
Yeah, so that's really sweet. Until he makes a mistake.
Da, da, da.
What's the mistake, Shaz?
Dominic sort of takes some tinfoil off one of the dishes, and it's some sort of cooked pork, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a whole pig though, isn't it? A small baby pig. A suckling pig, as they call it.
Oh.
Which, a lot of people would be grateful for. It's probably like classy food over there.
Delicacy,
and, a lot of them would like the pork. But unfortunately for him, Man's a vegetarian. And Dominic's like, well, all the time? And not just when he's working? And he's got this misconception. But Michelle Y says he's not one of those amateurs. My dad's the real deal. So she obviously, there we get a first glimpse of how much she thinks about her father, which doesn't always, appear at the beginning of this film, because there seems to be a lot of clashing, a lot of bitterness.
There's a lot of clashing, but I guess she would stand up for her dad to anybody else. That's aside from how she might feel she's treated.
Yeah, I feel like she's quite a tough character in this, Michelle Y.
Yeah.
Michelle Y, we remember her first. She landed on our map after we did The Sleep Curse with Anthony Wong. I mean, she was good in that, and that was a quite good film, but it's not to this level. For me, this is the film that's going to put her on the map and start throwing her into award territory. I think she's got it all. I think she can go all the way. I see a really long career in front of her.
Yeah.
It's there for the taking if she wants it. But I like, that one of the first scenes with her that shows us a bit of her character was she's doing a job. She's a paramedic. She's in the ambulance and she can't resuscitate somebody. And, as they're taking him out on the stretcher, she's on top of the stretcher giving CPR.
Yeah.
not willing to throw in the towel. So she's a person that cares. But she doesn't deal with it too well. So we cut to, and it's not gratuitous, but there is a scene where she's like just finished sleeping with somebody, So her way of coping is to have sex with this doctor after something brings her down at work.
Yeah.
And the doctor is married, we find out. So again, that's another side to a character. It's like, you're doing something ethically wrong there. So there's a bit of depth, maybe a bit of a flaw in a character.
I think so. Yeah.
Well, how do you feel about her character at that point of the film, Shaz? Do you completely dislike her because of what she's doing?
No, I don't dislike her. I just can't weigh her up. Because she's, like you say, she's obviously very caring, and she was so traumatised, if you like, by not being able to save her patient, that's her way of dealing with it. But then she's getting what she needs. But then what about the doctor? But then I guess that's his choice to sleep with somebody else if he's married.
Yeah, I guess so.
She can't bear all the responsibility for that. Some of it's got to come, with him.
I think, I don't know if you agree with me, that the film is showing us that not everything's black and white, that there's shades of grey.
Grey areas.
There's bad in good and there's good in bad. And, you can't expect anybody to be 100% perfect.
No.
I did make a little note after that about the film score, because I noticed it really early on.
Yeah,
and throughout the film. Absolutely fantastic. This film has a great soundtrack, and there's a really good song at the end, isn't there, when the credits come up?
Yeah.
So I haven't looked into who that is, but be aware it's on there, and it all adds up to the classiness of this film. Right. We also learn about Hewitt's friend not long after this scene, which is Lynn, and she is played. Who is Lynn played by? Elaine Jin. Now, she runs like would you say it's a cafe or a small restaurant?
Yeah, just a small restaurant.
Yeah, eatery like. And she seems to have a close relationship with Europe. I don't know, it's not established how that relationship came to be, or whether she's anything to do with the family, but they're close.
Yeah.
Because she's like keeping an eye on her, isn't she? She's like monitoring her. She's obviously got some problem with her ankle. She has her leg up on a chair, and she's like listening to her heartbeat with one of those stethoscope, is it? I don't know what they call it.
Yeah, she gives her like a little medical checkup, doesn't she, when she's gone for soup?
Yeah.
And saying, call me if you have trouble breathing, call me straight away.
Yeah, which is, again, very nice. And the soup, I believe it was, I've wrote this down.
Yeah.
Per apple and fig soup.
That sounds good.
It does, it's very unusual.
Try and find a recipe.
Yeah, we'll have to look that up. But a soup with all fruits. I've never heard of that before.
No, I must admit, when they said that, and I thought, I wonder if would be like a dessert soup. Surely that wouldn't be like a main meal, but maybe it would.
Maybe it would, but we'll have to look it up.
Yeah.
But whatever it is, I would like to try it. I may have skipped along a little bit there because, the first funeral that Dominic has to deal with is the one where the young lads died. The one that was an enthusiast of cars and motoring.
Yeah.
And this is where Dominic makes his rather big mistake, and tell everybody, Shaz, what the mistake is that he makes during this funeral.
So you think Dominic's done a good thing because when he meets the family, because I think it was the brother and sister-in-law of the deceased, a young man, and it sounds like he's got the right attitude, let's focus on this, let's focus on that at the ceremony. And then it gets to the day of the ceremony, and I think Dominic makes a comment like, I'm dealing with something else to somebody, doesn't he? And it turns out what he's been dealing with is a paper offering, isn't it? But it's of a Maserati, so the whole all the family of the deceased are there, the ceremony's starting, and he goes in this paper car, and it's that well made that he was sat in it, wasn't he, Dominic? And I think, was it someone filming it, I guess?
I think
one
so,
of his employees. And so he gets out, full of smiles, like, look what I've done for your family. And I've checked the deceased's Instagram, and I know he really liked this particular car. And then the brother is like, he he died in one of those
Maserati.
cars or something. Yeah.
Paper Maserati.
And then it really upset the whole family, and at that point Dominic realised, I think, that he'd done so much but he hadn't checked the finer details.
He'd missed the fundamentals. How did he die? That's the first thing that he
because
probably...
I said to you, should he not have asked that?
You did?
Should that be one of, if you've got like a list of questions you should ask a family when you're arranging a service, or say, is there anything we should avoid covering or mentioning, maybe?
I know, but Dominic at that point is still focused on the money. I mean, he's got
and trying to impress.
Yeah.
Because on my list of things I wrote down here of themes from the film, which I think we can maybe go over later, but I've put down acceptance, and I feel that Dominic was trying to be accepted. Do you reckon? Like, he was trying to be accepted as this amazing agent, accepted by the families, accepted by man.
I think it was important to him. You could see it on his face. And that's really good acting. That shows how good Dayo Wong is. Yeah. I mean, when I remember him back from things like Satan Returns and whatnot, I could never have pictured something to this degree. It didn't even register on my radar in those films, I'd like to go back again and watch films I've seen with him in to see what I think now. That'd be like, it's like when you discover an old actor in an episode of Werewolf or something. Yeah. Like Bryan Cranston, you're like, oh my god, he turned out to be this amazing actor. What was he like in this? Yeah. So going back would be really interesting. But yeah, I love that, and that scene is a hard watch, but it's part of his development, isn't it? It's his
journey of learning the role of the funeral agent and how he adapts to it.
Can you remember the next funeral that he has to deal with? It's Miss Yan, and I don't know if we got the name of that actress on there. But yes, we do. Yeah. Rosa Maria Velasco. Yeah. Yeah. And I like that scene. You can run us through that scene, Shaz. It stopped me rambling all the time as I do.
You don't ramble.
I do.
So this funeral section was a mother who wanted an unusual arrangement for her little boy, and so it's she's been around all the other funeral parlours, and it sounded like nobody wanted to get involved because it was so unusual, that she wanted the boy's body sort of embalmed. Is that the right?
Yeah, she wanted him preserved, didn't she?
Yeah. She wanted him preserved, and then he was going to be stored in some sort of room. I didn't quite understand that. That looked like a row of storage units or something.
They were talking about cryogenics, weren't they? Like sort of freezing. But from what you see in the film, I don't
think that was that.
It looks like he gets mummified, but with his organs still in. Yeah. Which they're all debating.
Because they said that the mother was hoping to be able to bring him back when the technology allows.
Yeah.
But he was basically just being kept in a coffin in some sort of storage area.
Yeah, he was vacuum packed as well, wasn't he?
Yes,
like
he was,
one of those bags that you put your clothes in and suck it out with the vacuum. And so it was a very strange request, but it's what she needed to move on. Yeah, it's what
the mother needed. And so this sort of started a debate, because Man really wasn't happy with this, and he was saying, yes, but the little boy's not going to be able to reincarnate because we've not given him his proper ceremony. He's not been buried.
Yeah, he's really against it, isn't he? But what I like about that as well, right at the beginning, is Mrs. Yan. She puts a question to him about a certain wood for a coffin, and he says, we can't get that, but we can give you this. And apparently he's the first person that's admitted that wood isn't available, and that's why she trusts him. Yeah. So it shows a certain depth of integrity to Dominic. Yeah. And that's when you start thinking, there is a little bit more to him. And at some level, I think Man has picked up on something there, because he's trying to do that embalming with Man's son, isn't he? Yeah. Ben, but Ben can't cope with it because of the smell. Yeah. And he appears when he's like reaching for some of the cloth, and he can't quite reach while he's holding him up, and a man appears and he helps him do it. He says, say nothing. Yeah. Let's just do this. Let's just do it. I kind of like that scene. I like the way it's dealt with. And I think it's just after that when he's speaking to her, she thanks him for not treating her like a nutcase.
Yeah,
she says,
I think she says nutcase, doesn't she?
I think she says nutcase.
Yeah. Or on the subtitles.
And she hugs him. Yeah. And there's just a look on Dominic's face. Like it suddenly dawned on him that this isn't just a business that I'm dealing with.
You're dealing with real people and there's real issues to treat with care.
Yeah. So that's a really nice segment. But we also follow this with Ben. He gets baptized, and that's how Dominic got him to help him out, isn't it? Because he overhears him on the phone. His wife wants him to get baptized into Catholicism so that he can get the son into a special school. Yeah. But it doesn't happen, does it?
No.
And
but it all comes up over the dinner table one night, which causes upset. It? Because man obviously is a bit upset that his Taoist son is converting to Catholicism. I can't say it.
Yeah, Catholicism.
Yeah, thank you.
And his sister's really pissed off.
Yeah.
Hewitt is really cheesed off, isn't she? And that makes man snap at her. But you kind of blaming the wife at that stage, aren't you? And I'm thinking, you know, because she blurted it out. When she could have kept it private.
I felt like she wanted the conversation. She wanted the debate. I mean, maybe that was the best thing. It had to come out. Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, I know, but I don't think he's really...
painful as it was.
I don't think Ben's got any religious belief, has he? He's just looking at it as a job.
I think so.
That's my takeaway.
And I think that gets covered later on when he basically tells Hewitt, you know, I didn't really want to do any of this. It's only because I'm the son. I'm the only one that can carry it on. I was forced to do it. I wasn't allowed to do anything I wanted to do. Yeah.
So there is more to that scene and the scene just before it, but we don't need to cover every tiny little bit. What I would like to talk about as well here is how Dominic's learnt from this, and he then moves on. He wants... At the beginning, he's offering everybody money to do different aspects of the job.
Yeah, he wanted to subcontract dressing the bodies ready for the funerals, you know, doing the makeup on the bodies. But then, like you say, these two main funerals that we saw sort of changed his opinion, didn't it? And then you felt like he did want to get more involved. He did want to learn. So he paid the people he was paying before to do those jobs. He was like, oh, can I pay you extra this time so that you can show me what you do?
Yeah, and I don't feel like it was just a money-saving exercise either.
I don't. I feel he needed to do it all.
Yeah, he took it that seriously, didn't he? He wanted to learn it, and I get because the next death we have in the film is Lynn. Now, that's not, even if you know, haven't seen the film, it's not too big a spoiler. She's only a minor part in it. But they've established the friendship between her and Hewitt with one scene. Or perhaps two, I'm not sure. I think
there were two scenes.
Two scenes.
Yeah.
And, Michelle Y as Hewitt, she has a really good scene here because she won't stop giving CPR to her. She's like refusing to accept. Yeah. So her co-worker sort of have to gently pries her away. I wouldn't say pull her away, he kind of prizes her away, doesn't he? And she's really upset. And I don't know. Do you think she looked to Lynn as like a mother figure? Because we don't see a mother in the film.
I think she did. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was really good. And again, at that point in the film, I'm starting to realise just how good Michelle Y has become. And when she's actually there and Dominic's like putting his new skills to use on Lynn and Hewitt's there watching him. Yeah. I really like that scene. There's something he says to her, and I wrote this down, guys, because it really touched me. I'm going to try not to burst into tears now. But she's like there crying, and she says, don't let tears touch the departed because she won't want to leave.
Yeah, I like that.
How profound is that? I mean, that's really, really touching, isn't it? I mean, I just love stuff like that and dramas, and how tender he is with her when he's preparing her.
Yeah.
And she's watching him. She's got to be comforted by that.
Yeah.
And I did notice that Lynn, although she was cremated, she was in a Western coffin.
Yes, I noticed that as well.
So I like that you've got all these people with all these different beliefs, and that they're dealing with all of it. They're not just, focusing on one. They're catering to what the people need. Then we have a man, an actor that we've seen before, Michael Ning. We've seen him in many films. In fact, many films that Cine Asia put out. He's been in Goldfinger, Everything Out of Control, tons of stuff. I think he might have even been in another film that we covered, The Moon Thieves. I think he was in that too. But yeah, we're really starting to love Michael Ning, aren't we? And what I like about this is he's done a small role here. He's becoming a big actor. Mm-hmm. And you can't doubt the talent that this guy has got.
Oh, no.
He's up there. But it's his wife's funeral, the next one. And we have another woman turn up. Now, which actress was that, Shaz? If we have a little look. Was it Rachel Leung?
Yeah.
So?
Yeah, it was, yeah.
She comes up to where the funeral's going to be held for his wife. And he's enraged. He doesn't want her there.
No. I mean, he didn't really sound that bothered about his wife before, because Dominic was saying, he said, what should, the clothes for your wife? And he was like, oh, well, there's some stuff been brought. If none of it fits, then just go and get some more from the shopping centre. Yeah. So you get this sort of dismissive attitude.
No concern there.
But then when he clocks that So-So is sort of wandering into the funeral room, even though the funeral's not going to start for many hours, he's quite, angry at her, isn't he? Like, go, leave, don't want you here. Yeah,
and she kind of responds with, I promised you I wouldn't turn up at the funeral, and I'm a woman of my word. But she just wants to go and see her to say her farewells, doesn't she? But he shoos her out quite aggressively. And we then kind of jump to when he's preparing her.
So Dominic's preparing
and his worker under him, who is Chung Soo Ying, the actress that you covered in Lyricist Wannabe. I wasn't on that one. You covered that on the channel.
Yeah.
One of Shaz's solo efforts there. And I enjoyed that film too. Yeah. But she plays Sui, doesn't she? So she's helping, but then this, woman comes in and was obviously a lover of Michael Ning's wife. Yeah. And he sends her out. He sends her out and says, keep a watch. And he lets her stay and watch, doesn't he?
Yeah, so he lets So-So stay, yeah.
And then we're like really tense during this scene, thinking, oh my God, he's going to turn up and Michael Ning and he's going to go mad. He shouldn't be doing this.
Yeah.
But I think he knows there's a possible risk there. But also probably not a risk, because he's more into his business and he's not going to be back, is he, until he has to be.
No, he said he wasn't going to be back till 7 or something, didn't he?
Yeah, so he lets her stay. He overcomes his fear there, lets her stay, lets her watch, and then gives her a bit of time to her himself.
Yeah, to say goodbye, yeah.
And he even ends up giving her like a little, would you say it's a brooch or necklace?
I think it was a little necklace, little butterfly necklace that some of the ashes from the lady were in, yeah.
Just
put in.
It's just beautiful. What a beautiful thing to do. Because he said to, he gets questioned about that by man, and he said, well, I couldn't fit all the ashes in what I was given. Yeah. And it didn't hurt anybody. And I really like that. I thought it was really, really cool. Right, so let's move on. We have a scene now. You remember in the restaurant? Between Man and Dominic, and he says to him, what have you learned? Because Dominic says, well, I've learned a lot. That's got to be like a showpiece for the film, that bit of acting between them two.
Well, we knew that scene was coming because this was a second watch, and we were like, oh, this is the scene. Yeah,
we knew. We was kind of getting excited for it, weren't we?
Yeah.
It's like when you're waiting for a good fight scene in an action or kung fu movie. In a drama, you're looking for the verbal equivalent of a fight scene, and I don't mean by that by an argument, but I mean the presentation of skill with what he says and how thoughtful it is. And yeah, it just takes my breath away, that scene. I know we've only seen it twice, but this is why we wanted to cover it on the podcast, because we wanted to have an excuse. In this day and age, when you've got so many films available to you, so much TV on all the time, you need to make an excuse for the good films, and this podcast is our excuse to watch this for a second time. But it won't be the only time. We're hoping that CineAsia put out a Blu-ray or a 4K of this, because it's magnificent, and
Let's hope so.
we will get it and watch it again. Yeah, and there's a little bit where they sing together after that, and that's quite magical, I feel, because they sing the song together, don't they? And that's where you first start to feel them bond.
Yeah.
After Man's kind of had a deeper insight into Dominic, and he's thinking, oh, maybe he's not just about the money.
Maybe he misjudged him.
He said, oh, you love the money, you, doesn't he? And, you know, he admits, you know, I'm a bit greedy, I'm a businessman, but he does let him know quite clearly that there's another side to him. So there's another funeral after that, and this is where Man is furious at Ben, because he's obviously a Catholic now, and doesn't want him doing the Taoist ritual. He's happy you be breaking Hell's Gates, you know.
Yeah.
It goes a little bit forward there, I feel, but it shows how hurt he is by him changing religion. Yeah. And he ends up having a heart attack and a stroke. And that leads us really into the second half of the film, I think. We have some scenes at the hospital, and Dominic goes to visit him along with his children, and then Ben announces to his sister that he's leaving for Australia. And she's really, really pissed at him, isn't she? Yeah. What did you think about that scene where they talk about it? Who do you think was in the right and wrong on that?
Well, I think, like Hewitt says, you know, we've got a crisis going on, and you're going to leave. Did seem a bit bad timing.
I guess
whether or not he could have delayed leaving until after Man was home and sorted.
Yeah, it seems a bit abrupt, doesn't it? And his defence was, I've been looking after Dad and doing everything with him, doing the job he wanted all my life, like, and you've been free to do it's your turn, which I'm not sure how fair that is, and I definitely don't think Hewitt thought it was fair. No. But the irony is that Hewitt is the one that would have wanted to copy what her dad did.
No, exactly. And this is another whole side of the film that we've not mentioned yet, about the fact that Hewitt is a woman and she's not allowed to partake in this, you know, ritual, because women aren't allowed to do it.
Because she menstruates. Yes,
and women are dirty. And it just sort of... And yet she's the one that would have loved to have done it.
I know.
To have done the job. Be the Taoist priest, and where that whole argument, that whole discussion about whether women could do it.
Yeah. And this is a really important aspect of the film, actually, because it gives you the big showpiece at the end of the film. It leads into that, doesn't it?
But there was also a very small nod to that earlier in the film, when we were talking about Hewitt and she lost the patient and then she went and slept with the doctor afterwards. When she was, when they got to that patient's house and they were trying to move him out, you know, to take him to hospital, the person with the patient said to, you know, one of the other paramedics, oh, that girl, as in Hewitt, you know, you can't lift him, you know, you're just a woman, sort of thing. Yeah. And one of the other paramedics said, look, all, you know, both genders can do this.
Yeah, we're the same.
Yeah,
we're,
yeah,
you know.
we all have the same training. So I thought that was a nod to it as well. So you've got that thing of, you're just a tiny little woman, you can't lift a great big bloke. But she'd had the training to do it, so she knew how to do it.
She was perfectly capable of it, yeah, which was good. Right. Oh, yeah, okay, so where did that? So there's little touches in this that show the growing relationship between Dominic and Man, like when he's back home and he's supposed to be being careful and he's smuggling the walnut cakes to him.
Walnut cakes,
yeah,
they look good.
I love that. And again, we get some terrific acting there from Michael Hoy. That little look of joy that's on his face. That's so genuine. You know? It's like, oh, yeah. And he's scratching his back
Yeah,
for him
he
when
sees
he's
a little
talking.
bag like, oh, what's in here? Oh,
Yeah, I like that.
it's me walnut cakes.
And this work comes out. Actually, I'm not going to ruin that, but it comes out about his name and what it's short for, and he figures it out, doesn't he, Dominic? And he laughs and man's kind of
Yeah.
mad at him. Oh, you little bugger, like sort of thing. I like that.
That was nice.
It was nice.
Scene.
It was nice. Then we get to find out that Dominic's wife, Jade, she collapses, doesn't she? And we find out that she's pregnant. Boy, because
She doesn't get the response she's expecting, does she?
She doesn't. So this, again, another different aspect to Dominic. And I think we might have thought differently on this scene, and I felt differently this time to the first time I watched it. The first time I watched it, I thought, oh, you get, like, she's pregnant. That's not the response she wants to hear. But then, personal circumstances and all that in life, I was thinking, well, he's almost got a point here, because he's talking about not wanting to be a burden, because he's in his 50s. His wife's an older mum, or would be an older mum, and the kids would be very young when they're very old.
Yeah.
And he's like, I don't want to be that kind of burden. Can we not talk about this? And that never gets resolved in the film.
No, so we don't know what they do.
We don't know what they do. I am kind of thinking that Dominic, being the way he is and the way he's grown, I think that he will come around and that they will have that child. That's my personal take on it. But I think he's just giving it the thought that he didn't give before, and thinking of every aspect.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I guess when you're dealing with death every day, you're going to think about these awful things, aren't you?
It is, yeah. I mean, yeah. We kind of, it's not long after that, is it? And, right, we'll put up a second spoiler alert here, because if you really haven't seen the film and you think, I'm going to listen to it, we're going to ruin the ending for you now. So, second spoiler alert.
You don't want to know the ending. Maybe just pause for now and come back.
Yeah. So, man dies. Michelle Y goes in. Her dad's died. And it's a tough, it's a tough scene in the film. And we're going to lead, the film's all about funerals, and he leaves instructions for his funeral, and we kind of jump straight into it, don't we? And Ben's back from Australia.
Yep.
And when at the funeral, Dayo Wong, he has an amazing scene, because as Dominic, he announces to all the other priests.
Oh yeah, because there's a huge gathering of other priests, isn't there?
Yeah.
So there's like family over there, and then basically the other side of the room is just filled with, I don't know, 20, 30 priests. There was a lot of people, wasn't there?
Actually, could I just take it back one step, Shaz? I'm gonna try and say this bit. I purposely put this down and avoided it, because I'm not sure I could get it out. There's a bit where Paul Chung comes along, because he was so close with Man, and he goes up to offer her incense and to pay his respects, and he says, almost angry, how could you go without me?
Yeah.
God damn. I was in bits. I was in absolute bits. Twice.
Very moving.
Twice that's got me, that scene.
Powerful stuff.
It's getting to me again. It's getting to me. Let me have a sip of water.
But then he has the tea, doesn't he?
He offers him tea.
Yeah.
So he's not really angry. I think he's sad angry. He's going to miss his best friend. But he is also there when Dominic tells the priest that his son and daughter is going to be doing the breaking the Hell's Gate ritual.
Yes.
And all hell does break loose.
Yeah, there's an uproar, isn't there?
Yeah. Now, if there is a equivalent of a final end fight in this film, as to what there would be in an action film, this is it. Dayo Wong is on fire in this scene.
Yeah, he's quite blunt with them all, isn't he?
Yeah.
If you don't want to partake in this was Master Man's wishes,
Yeah.
then there's the door.
Yeah, use it.
Yeah.
Walk out.
And you think, good for you.
Yeah. It really is a fist pump scene, isn't it? So I think that covers the film. We don't usually follow a film from beginning to end at HKB, as you know, if you listen to any of our episodes. But we felt this one deserved it and deserved a little more effort from us. I absolutely love and adore this film, and I think it goes without saying that I recommend it to absolutely everybody.
Yeah.
You know, if you've listened to this and you're intrigued, please go and watch it. And also, we're going to start putting in listener feedback. So if you want to respond to anything we've said in this episode, you can send us a little video with your thoughts on anything. It could just be on me and Shaz, or it could be on the films, whatever you want. You could send it to us at hongkongblu-rays@gmail.com. So that's all lowercase, hongkongblu-rays@gmail.com, and there's no dash between the Blu-rays, it's just Blu-rays, one word. Or you can find us on social media, and where we've posted for this episode, you could leave something on there. We're on Facebook, and you can send either Shaz, me, or to Hong Kong and Beyond's page. You can send a messenger message. You can put in an audio clip, which we will play back, or a video clip, or on the postings, you can write down something that you want us to
we'll read out,
and we'll read it out. So any feedback like that would be hugely, hugely beneficial for us. We'd be really pleased as well to, get a bit of a rapport going with our listeners. We want people to feel part of this and to join in. And we won't miss you out. That's our promise. If you have something, we will share it with everybody. So there you go. Your final thoughts on the film, Shaz, and anything you'd like to add before you sign us out of this episode 21 spectacular.
Wow, thank you. I know we haven't had chance to go over everything, but I did make my little list of themes.
Ooh,
so
right.
This could be interesting. Well, I think we've pretty much covered them all one way or another. So here we go. So the main themes I picked up on from this film was loss. Because obviously you've got people losing their relatives and how that's dealt with. Family loyalty, which I think comes into it, with the family bickering and everything.
Yeah, and the religion change, yeah.
Compassion, which I felt was what Dominic also learnt to deal with in growing in his new role as the agent, because he had none at the beginning. Like you say, it was just, oh well, let's just make a quick buck here.
Yeah.
And then he completely went the other way and realised how important that side of the job is. Traditions, which we talked about with the ceremony, and then linking in with how women weren't allowed to partake in this ceremony and whether or not that's right or that's wrong. And acceptance. And then another thing that we haven't mentioned yet was Hewitt, and how, as much as she felt that men didn't want to know her, I think that made her sort of distrust men, hate men a bit. Do you think that's fair to say?
I think she definitely had an issue, didn't she? She wasn't connecting with any of the men in her life.
No.
And there was a scene where she gets confronted by the doctor's wife when her dad's in a wheelchair, which we thought, oh, this looks very reminiscent of Still Human.
Yeah.
And this woman sort of slaps her, and her dad can't move one side of his body then, and he's trying to stop this woman, isn't he?
Yeah.
And shoo her off, sort of thing. And she's obviously upset by that. He's upset by it because he couldn't defend his daughter. And that leads into a scene where he gets her to wash his hair after refusing to let her help shower him earlier. He's like, kind of request it, doesn't he?
Yeah.
And she kind of tenderly does wash his hair, which was really nice in that scene.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think you're right. You definitely had an issue with men, but I think through working with Dominic, maybe, and her brother coming back, I think we were starting to build there.
I think
her
so.
dad wanted her to be happier, didn't he mention that in his last words?
Yeah, because I think that was another point, being that man saw the funeral ceremony and everything was, what was it, to transcend?
Yeah.
Transcend the dead.
Yeah.
But Dominic also saw it as a way to transcend the living, to help them move on.
Yeah.
So I found that another really important message.
He said the living were like the ones that need our help the most. And I think he was right. And yeah, I love that. So any final word, Shaz, before you sign us off?
Just highly recommend this film. Can't recommend it enough. It's great.
Well, that's all from me then.
So thanks guys for listening and watching, because I think we're going to put this up on YouTube as well.
Yep, for those that don't, listen to podcast platforms, it will be on YouTube. I'm sorry you have to look at us. Really get to see you with my glasses on.
Yeah. But yeah, as Leon said, any comments, just pop us a comment here, there, social media. We'd love to hear from you. So that's it for episode 21.
And we'll catch you on the next one.
See you then.